Hello everyone. We will continue ecosystem function as energy flow in biological systems. We will start energy flows between organisms. Yesterday we talked about how individual organisms use energy. We talked about maintenance, growth, storage, protection, and reproduction. And we talk about autotrophs who produces their own food, and we talk about heterotrophs, consumers, and when they consume the energy, where does this energy go? We talk about different body temperature organisms, endotherms and exotherms, and we stop here, energy flow between organisms part. So energy flow is about feeding relationship. The relationship between producers and consumers, it's based on who eats whom. So energy flows through an ecosystem in one direction, like from sun to producers and from producers to consumers. A food chain is a simple way to explain steps of energy transfer by being eaten or by eating. The more complex way is called food webs. So because there is not only one way to eat, like we are not getting one type of food, we are eating different types of food, vegetables, meats, minerals. That's why we are studying food webs. Let's first talk about food chain. In each step in the food chain or in a food web is called trophic level, and the first trophic level is producers, which are plants, autotrophs. Then consumers make up the second, third, or higher trophic levels, and each consumer depends on trophic level below it for energy. Let's give an example here. For example, this is a marine food chain. The producers are algae, microscopic algae particles. It's also called phytoplankton. I think that's the phytoplankton, and these are eaten by zooplanktons, and zooplanktons eaten by small fish. Small fish is eaten by squids, and shark eats the squids. But shark can also eat the small fish, right? So this is one way of flow of energy, because algae cannot eat shark. That is why we call it one way flow of energy. So the variety of eating habits is more complicated than food chain. So to explain this complexity, we studied food webs. For example, most organisms eat from several trophic positions. Some organisms, like omnivores, like us, eat both plants and animals. Other organisms eat only other animals, but they can eat animals from several different trophic positions. So that is why we are studying food webs interaction. So let's study this one. Let's start from the corn. Corn is a first trophic producer, and grasshopper can consume corn, but this grasshopper can be consumed by frog and rat. And this frog, if we follow the frog in our system diagram, in our food web, it can be eaten by a snake or by an eagle. And this eagle can be eaten by wolf, or it can be vice versa, right? So that is why we are working on food webs, to understand the complexity of this food chain, food energy interaction. Studying these systems are really important to understand the ecosystem. because no energy conversion is 100% efficient, some energy is lost as animals eat plants or other animals. And because energy cannot be recycled, some energy is lost from the food chain as a plant or animal uses energy for the 5 purposes, like we described in the first section. And these losses are replaced by autotrophs, which convert sun energy into organic forms. And without the producers, the food chain would collapse. So it is really important to understand the rate of the autotrophs that make the photosynthesis. And scientists calculate gross primary production to measure the production of organic energy related to plants. And since plants do not produce like 100% because they also use it for maintenance, there is a net primary production which is measured by biomass. And these are very, very important calculations for environmental sustainability. In the next one, I would like to talk about the energy transfer, since we start talking about the production of biomass. These are called pyramids, energy pyramids, and they show the relationship between one pyramid to another, like from the producers to consumers. Ecological pyramids show the decreasing amounts of energy, living tissue, and number of organisms at different trophic levels. Like from going to plants to first consumers, we are only getting 10% of this energy. Let me give you another example here, like this. So if you have 500 grams of grain, so if these chickens consume 5,000 grams of grain, you will only have 500 grams of chicken. And by eating this, like 500 grams of chicken will be turned only 50 grams of human tissue in human body. Why? Because in each step we are using energy for maintenance, for reproduction, for protection, for storage, right? So these plants does not give 100% energy to the other level. That is why this biomass pyramids are very critical to study, because we cannot have direct relationship between the area of agriculture and feeding human beings. It depends which one is eaten by whom and how it goes into a pyramid, biomass pyramid. I hope this part makes sense. And as I mentioned before, there is a huge study to increase the photosynthesis rate. So how can we increase the photosynthesis rate so we can increase the biomass of plants? There is one important topic about pollution and this energy flow in organisms. Biomagnification, also called bioamplification, is about concentration of toxics in the organisms. So as you remember, like we are not eating one of this, right? Like when you eat a fish, you don't eat one fish, you eat more than one. Or when you eat an apple, you don't eat one apple, you consume more than one apple. And because of this, the location of the consumer in the pyramid, you are eating more and more toxic substances. So this image explains how the toxic materials, toxic chemicals distributed in the different trophics of food web. So if there's any pollution that comes, it can go to the water by rain. Then these algae, phytoplanktons, will absorb it. Because they absorb few particles, not just one single, the one that consumes phytoplanktons will have a little bit more than algae. And one fish will not consume one zooplankton. It's gonna eat more than one, and it is gonna start accumulating on a small fish. And this large fish will eat more and more. So as it goes to the higher level of trophic, the toxic level increase and increase. And this toxic materials cannot be used in the body. That is why we call them toxic. They will remain in the tissues over its lifetime, and that is why we see many illnesses recently because of all these pesticides and increased toxic concentrations in the food. I'm gonna stop here, and we will continue material cycle in the next video.